Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely morning. I'm actually having an okay morning because the weather, I don't know if you can hear the birds. The weather is really good today. It's really hot outside, but inside my house it's pretty good. I'm loving it. I think I should probably shut my window though before you hear all my neighbors and all the animals that live near us. So, before we get started, I think one of the major important things that I need to talk about is obviously loungewear, because what else would I be filming in? So I'll have all of that linked in the description box below if you're interested. And also snacks. I realize that I always have snacks around when I start recording these videos or these podcasts. And I think it's just important for me to share with you exactly what I'm snacking on. So you guys all know what cheese strings are. I'm a big kid at heart. I don't actually have cheese string, but I have something made by Cheese Strings brand, and they're called Scoffies. They're like little snack boxes, so they have 3 portions or 3 segments. It's like a bento box essentially. Obviously there's cheese in the middle one, and then they have some form of salty snack, so like pretzels or little crackers, and then they have a sweet side where they usually have fruit cubes, yogurt covered raisins, like these little biscuits, and they're really nice. So if you like cheese and you like cheese strings when you were younger or even now, then make sure you go and you grab some of those because they are delish. So before we get started, I should probably say, if you don't like the sound of my voice, that is exactly what my channel is about, you listening to me. So if you don't like the sound of my voice, or you don't think you're going to be interested in anything I have to say, then you should probably just not continue watching the video right about now. And I think that's about it. So let's just dive straight into the topic. So I'm British. I think I've mentioned this so many times, so I just need to stop going on about it, but it relates to this topic. So I'm British. Obviously I'm going to make a video about Princess Diana, like who do you think I am? A slight preface to my opinion on this topic. Despite many people's preconceived notions about British people, we are not obsessed with the royal family. We don't have their Windsor dynasty portraits on our wall. That's not what happens. But I think Princess Diana's death is not just because of who she was, but it's so mysterious almost, and it's something that was so sudden and such a mystery to so many people that we still don't really know. There's so many considerations, so many conspiracies, so many opinions about what exactly happened. I just want to kind of go over that. I think it's super interesting. So if you're interested, then obviously keep listening. There's loads of videos about this on YouTube, but I'm going to try and condense it as much as I can. I know I talk a lot and I have like this, I just keep talking randomly, but I will try and give you as much detail as I can in a relatively short amount of time. It's easier than reading it from several different sources like I do. I also want it to be relatively accurate and try and give you a range of opinions so you can make your own subjective opinion about the topic. Before I get into what I think caused the death, I'm probably going to just talk a little bit about exactly what happened to her, allegedly. But even before that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her because many people don't know much about her. And recently, actually, very unprofessional, my phone going off. I think I want to say within the last week, we actually, in the UK, I'm not sure if it happened anywhere else, but on Channel 4, they had a documentary. It's called Diana in Her Own Words, and it's about these videos that she made before she died. Obviously, I'm pretty sure she didn't know that she was going to die at that time, but she made these videos, and it's about her discussing her life and being part of the royal family, and the ups, the downs, exactly what she think happened in terms of her relationship, which, spoiler alert, led to her divorce. So she would no longer be able to be the Queen of England. Even though I don't even think Charles is going to get to be King of England, because the Queen is proper holding on to that throne. Just saying. So that's what we're going to talk about. A little bit about Diana. Diana, born Diana Spencer, was born on the 1st of July 1961, and she was born to the Spencer family, which is a branch of British nobility in the UK. And she became well known when she got engaged to Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, on February 1981. And then they married on the 29th of July 1981. This is actually information I've got after watching her documentary, Diana in Her Own Words. She said that they actually got engaged after meeting only 13 times. After she got married on the 29th of July 1981, she was formerly known as Diana, Princess of Wales, Duchess of Cornwall, Duchess of Rothesay, and Countess of Chester. So, a really big name, basically. However, if you hadn't gathered, as I already put a spoiler in earlier, the marriage actually didn't last. There's many speculations as to what exactly it was that happened that meant that their marriage, which, I mean, when you are part of the royal family, there's a lot of stigmatism anyway around divorce, but particularly in the royal family. And in 1981, there was loads of stigmatism around this topic of getting divorced, and she was part of the royal family. She was future Queen of England. As soon as she was divorced, that could no longer happen for her. So one of the problems was there was actually a 13-year age gap between her and Prince Charles. Also, weird fact that you may not have known, Prince Charles was actually dating her older sister Sarah or something, but he ended up marrying her. I mean, don't know if that's weird for you, but that was weird for me. I was like, why would you even date him after he's dated your sister? But anyway, one of the main reasons, though, that it was believed that they were divorced and their marriage wasn't working out was due to the belief that Charles was actually unfaithful to her with the infamous Camilla Parker Bowles, whom he is now married to right at this moment in time. And it's actually really horrible to think about it, because obviously I'm not in this situation, but before they got married, she believed that Camilla Parker Bowles and her husband at the time were friends with Charles, and they were just all friends, and they used to vacation together in the summer, and she just thought they were friends. They were always together. They used to go play polo together and go do whatever activities royal people do together, and she just thought it was friendship. But it was later revealed that actually Prince Charles and Camilla had been having an affair for so long, even when she was married, because she was married before Prince Charles and Diana were, and they've been seeing each other, if you will, on the sly for so long. And how horrible is that she was like with her all the time. Any event, she would be there. Camilla probably gave her advice about things, especially when she first got engaged. I mean, that's just horrible. The divorce was finalised on the 28th of August 1996. That was the moment in which it was announced formally. I mean, it'd been known for a long time before that the relationship wasn't going to work and there was something going on and that they wouldn't be together. But that was when it was formally announced to the public that Diana would no longer be able to rule beside Prince Charles and will not be the future Queen of England. Actually, one thing to note is that Diana actually went to Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen right now, and she referred to her as the top lady in her documentary. And the Queen just turned her away and said, I don't know what to do. Probably in much more words than I just made them, but that's basically it. We actually saw in the documentary, but this was released before the documentary as well, the engagement footage of the day that she got engaged in February 1981. On the day they had the engagement at Buckingham Palace, there was an interview afterwards, and during the interviewer asked, are you in love? And Diana was like, of course we are. But Prince Charles, on the other hand, was like, well, it depends what you mean by love. And you could tell that she was really taken aback by what he'd just said on the video of the interview, and in her documentary she also says that she was shocked, she didn't understand, she thought that only people that were in love were supposed to be married, and she genuinely was, but that was a moment in which she realised that maybe he wasn't, but it was already a bit late for that because it would have been public turmoil if anything happened after that point. Also, another problem that could have occurred was Diana was actually bulimic, and she blames it on the fact that she didn't think she was good enough for Charles. Charles was cheating on her, but Charles completely denies ever cheating on her. He says, to this day, he says that him and Camilla were just friends, but afterwards things just worked out for them. I just think that it's weird. Her life after the divorce mainly revolved around her charity work. She was already doing charity work. During her marriage, she didn't actually have much to live for, essentially. She did charity work. She has 2 sons. She had Prince William, Prince Harry. Everybody knows them now, well, most people do. She only had them, and she had her charity work just to overcome her loneliness. People loved her. It's believed that one of the reasons that she was so lonely was because nobody was taking interest in her, but all the public were taking interest in her because she was so kind-hearted and so into charity, and she said from a young age that she just wanted to help people. She wasn't extremely academic, she just wanted to help people. People are not sure at this point whether Charles should even become king because of the divorce, and this was actually, I don't even think it's resolved now, but up until a couple, maybe just after the royal wedding for Prince William and Kate Middleton, nobody was sure whether Prince Charles would ever even become king, and whether it should just skip his generation entirely and Prince William should just become king straight after Queen Elizabeth. But I think recently they resolved that and said that Prince Charles will get to become king. But she actually felt like people were pushing her out, people who were in Prince Charles' circle or the royal family circle who wanted Charles to become king. She was overshadowing Charles too much. She was too into the charity work and people were loving her, whereas really she should have been hated because she was no longer in a relationship with the future king of England. She would no longer be Queen of England. And it was believed that she had also been unfaithful with actual members of staff that worked in her home. Although she claims it was nothing sexual, but there were intimate moments with her and some of her staff. Ultimately, that staff, way before the divorce was finalised, that staff was eradicated in some way or another. I'm not speculating anything, but they were eradicated. I think you get my gist. I'm not going to say it, but that's what she said, that she's not going to say it, but they just disappeared. She doesn't know if they were paid off or if something more fatal happened to them. She was also scared that she was being pulled out of her children's life. She only had, in her opinion, 2 things to live for, and one of them was named William and one was named Harry, and she felt like people, I'm really sorry about, okay, one second. She felt like people were trying to push her out so that they would side with their father, and obviously they would be the future eventually, even if her and Prince Charles weren't together. They would be the future of Great Britain. It was necessary that they side with the royal family. I think I should actually get into the death of Diana though. So her official death date was the 31st of August 1997, and she was killed via a car accident in the Pont de l'Arme road tunnel in Paris, France, and she was in a Mercedes-Benz 5280. And in the vehicle alongside her were the late Dodi Fayed, who was the son of, at that time, the owner of Harrods, Mohammed Al Fayed, and the driver Henry Paul, both of whom died on site along with a lot of evidence actually. Diana didn't actually die in a car accident, she died on the way to the hospital. The only survivor from the crash was the guard who was guarding Diana and Dodi Fayed, and his name was Trevor Reeves. He was the only survivor of the crash. That's basically all I want to talk about in terms of her actual, what actually happened at the site of her accident, because not many people actually know what happened. The public story is that paparazzi were chasing the car. She was always chased by paparazzi, and that caused the crash. But that was actually debunked during investigation for the court trials. And it said that no, the paparazzi were too far back. They weren't driving fast at all. The official ruling, though, was that Henry Paul, the driver, was actually drunk driving at high speeds, which caused the crash. So they actually found in his system, allegedly, they found antidepressants, antipsychotic drugs, and alcohol. And it was actually believed that Henry Paul was a MI6 special agent who was hired to basically kill Diana. So there are two of the stories in terms of what may have caused her accident. In terms of the public eye, nobody was thinking at the time, oh, she'd been murdered, other than Mohammed Al Fayed, who was Dodi's father. Most people didn't think, oh, straight away, I mean, most people didn't think, oh, the royal family killed her or somebody killed her, somebody didn't want her around or didn't want somebody in that car around. But the public was really taken aback by the royal family's response or reaction. The divorce had only happened, I want to say, a year ago. It'd only been a year. Yeah, it'd only been just over a year. Oh my god, that's oddly close. So the divorce was on the 28th of August 1996 and she died on the 31st of August 1997. So a year and a couple of days later, she died. The royal family lacked compassion. They refused to return home and mourn publicly from Balmoral Castle, which is where they always spent their summers. But the public were really taken aback because Diana was such a kind soul and such a important figure for a lot of the public in, I won't say all, but a majority of the public in Great Britain at the time, and people were just shocked that the royal family were behaving in such a way. And obviously I'm not referring to her children were really young at the time. I want to say that they were not even teenagers yet, they were really young. I'm just referring to Prince Charles, the Queen. So another theory is, obviously there was one theory that the paparazzi caused it, there's another theory that the driver caused it. I guess that's a two-part theory. Driver caused it because he was drink driving, or driver caused it because he was an MI6 agent undercover. But another reason, there was another motive that was believed to have caused Diana's death. It was that maybe the accident was not meant to kill just Diana, but also to target Dodi Fayed, who allegedly had gotten Diana pregnant. So Diana and Dodi Fayed were in a relationship, and it was believed that they were pregnant with a child, and that's exactly what Mohammed Al Fayed believed. And he is still vocal to this day that the royal family is the cause behind the death of his son and his future grandson and his son's girlfriend at the time. And he still believes it. He says it all the time. In so many interviews, he said, I know it's them. It has to be them. And, I mean, you can take from that what you will. I don't know how he specifically came to that conclusion. He's never really said why he thinks... I mean, he's dotted around the subject, but he's never said why exactly he thinks that the royal family would want Diana to be dead. Obviously, there's the whole jealousy thing because people were loving her more than they were loving Prince Charles, but that's not really a reason to kill someone. The child thing, I mean, I don't understand why, if Diana had a child with another person of technically Egyptian dynasty, why that would affect them, but clearly he believes it does, and whatever gives him peace in knowing that he's fighting for his son and grandchild is all power to him. There are a lot of strange things about the day. I want to say the day, I really mean the time of the accident. One thing is that there was absence of CCTV of the journey that they took. So they were staying at a hotel in France, because obviously they're not from France, so they're staying in a hotel, and they were leaving their hotel. There was pretty much no CCTV of the car journey, which is pretty unusual considering it's Paris, it's the capital city. Everywhere, I mean, not everywhere has as much CCTV as they do in the UK, like London, but there should have been more CCTV. Another weird thing was that it was believed that a white Fiat Uno had actually contacted the car, the Mercedes Benz that Diana was travelling in, because they found paint on the bodywork of the car. It has been said that maybe the white Fiat Uno, made the car swerve into the wall of the tunnel. They found that the owner of the car was Jean-Paul James Anderson, and he actually committed suicide. Even though it's mostly just Dodi's father, Mohammed, who thinks this, but he believes that James Anderson was paid to cause the accident. And then he felt so guilty later that he committed suicide, but obviously there's no proof for that. In fact, I think they even investigated if there was a chance and they didn't really find anything. Another strange thing that occurred was that 3 eyewitnesses actually said that there was a bright flash as the car entered the tunnel, but this has really been speculated because other people haven't seen it. A lot of the people, I mean, I know there's only 3 eyewitnesses that I've pointed out, but a lot of the people who were there said that they didn't see it. 3 of them said they did, and I think literally 2/3 of that, so 2 of the people were not credible witnesses. I think one of them wasn't credible because his wife sitting next to him said that she hadn't seen him, but they were basically had the same view of the tunnel, so that's why he was claimed to be uncredible. Another strange thing was the whole seatbelt thing. So Diana wasn't actually wearing a seatbelt, which actually was one of the reasons why she died, because of she was smashed around in the car, and if she'd been wearing a seatbelt, she might have survived. But it was known that Diana was a faithful seatbelt user. Anytime you saw video or a clip of her, you'll notice she has been wearing a seatbelt, and a lot of people found it hard to believe that she hadn't used the belt, or the seat belt had failed in some way to protect her. Maybe she did put it on and then it unclipped or something, in which case people think it's sabotage, which I don't know how somebody would have done that, but it's just, either way, if somebody did that, then somebody knew that they were going to cause an accident. So it's not just the seatbelt thing. I think the seatbelt was just to ensure that she did die, just put like another brick on the pile, if you want to say it like that. I mean, I don't know. Another strange thing is that Diana's body was actually embalmed unusually early in terms of how long you normally wait. So they couldn't actually do an autopsy on her properly. This is what Dodi Fayed's father says. The embalming caused a fake or a false result on the pregnancy test that they did to confirm whether she was pregnant, which they found out she wasn't. But he believes it's because her body had already been embalmed, so it was giving a false result, which is actually quite possible. And they had a poor excuse, really, as to why they embalmed her body before it should have been embalmed. They said it was because the Prime Minister of France at the time wanted to come and see her, because obviously she was such an important figure, but the hospital staff didn't want him to see her as she was. Obviously she just had an accident, she probably looked terrible, but I'm sure he wasn't expecting her to be dressed up like she was going to a wedding or something, or like, I don't know, I don't understand why they felt the need to say that. Another conspiracy actually was that SAS sniper Danny Nightingale was actually behind the death, which this is kind of like, I didn't really fully understand this, so I would definitely recommend going to read a bit about this. This was just on, I think it was on a news article, but I think if you just go onto Wikipedia, they'll probably have it in a short condensed form, and then you can find like the source article that they got that information from. I didn't really completely understand exactly what he meant, or what was meant by this, but it is believed that SAS sniper Danny Nightingale actually was behind the death of Diana. I mean, I think there's just so many conspiracies around the topic. Now, as soon as you bring up, oh, that's not what happened, so many people come out with their theories. For me, the most do I want to believe it was someone in the royal family? Yes, that would make a great movie. That would be awesome. Do I think they would ruin their image enough to do that? Do I think that there was a lot of strange things that happened in and around her death. Absolutely. I mean, what's this bright light? Why would somebody just make that up? What's this paintwork from another car? You don't really make that up. Why did they embalm her body so soon? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't do that personally, but why wasn't she wearing a seatbelt? I mean, that one's not so much, but if somebody sabotaged her, then I guess it is. I think it's a stretch to say that she was... I mean, actually, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a stretch to think that she was murdered. In fact, I think she was. Not necessarily by the royal family, but no one's going to go and question them about it, are they? Anyway, that's all I had for this video. I know it's really long and really disjointed. I think I really need to improve on my flow in these videos. So if you guys have any tips, I guess you guys could leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up, share it on, I mean, wherever, but share it on Twitter, because that's where I'm from. My social, well, I'm not from Twitter, but my social media account is primarily Twitter. Tweet me any future requests, or tweet me any questions you have, or if you actually if you figure out what this SAS business is, then tweet me about it, because I'm quite confused about that, and I think I just need somebody to explain it in much simpler terms. So if you guys have any idea what exactly they're on about in terms of the SAS sniper Danny Nightingale being the cause behind the death, and why he would do it, and how he was found out, and what happened to him, then let me know on Twitter, and I will try and make sure that I thank you for officially enlightening me on what exactly happened. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and I guess I will see you next time. Make sure to keep an open mind, keep free thinking, and bye.